Well, hello, everybody. Today we have with us Chief Spike Jones from the Kenton County Police Department. Welcome, Chief.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Judge.
Well, I get to work with you on a regular basis, but every time we speak, I always learn something more about what's happening in the county. And this is something now we can share with the rest of those who might want to watch this. Um,
Sure.
so first of all, just why don't you real quick, how many years have you now been in police work, and how many years with Kenton County?
Well, tomorrow, as a matter of fact, the 22nd will be the beginning of my 33rd year in policing just here in northern Kentucky between Covington and Kenton County. I had a couple of years before that as a non-sworn cadet for Department of Public Safety at Eastern Kentucky University, but I really can't claim that as actual police experience, I guess. So 33 years so far
Well,
coming up.
thank you for that great service. You know, we're now dealing with this pandemic for goodness over 6 months now.
Sure.
So we spoke earlier about the impacts of it and what you're seeing out there in terms of calls and responding. Maybe update us with what we look at here and as we're sitting in late September.
Sure. Well, first of all, I think this is probably the most unique situation that I can probably tell you many of my peers have dealt with in law enforcement, probably in our entire careers. I think the closest thing to this was the Spanish flu pandemic, the turn of the last century, that we have to compare it to. And, things were so completely different in policing even then. So this is a completely new animal to us. We have seen kind of anecdotally a trend downwards early on in some of our arrests and so forth, but just a few numbers to give you a comparison, maybe over a 3-year period. In 2018, we had 41 case reports, and this is just for the month. I'm just giving you the month of July, 2018. 41 case reports for the month of July. 19, we had 58. Now this month we're showing 37. So there's an ever so slight downtrend in those things. Our traffic stops have remained about the same. Our business checks have remained about the same. And really our arrests notably are down for 46 for the month of July as compared to 61 last year at this time and 71 the year before at this time. So whether we can attribute that directly to COVID, I think people are being more cautious about being out in these times. And I know our officers are being more cautious in dealing with the public as well during these times. So there is a slight downtrend.
And realizing, we know this, but not everyone knows this, that obviously these are numbers for unincorporated Kenton County generally,
Yes.
even
Yes.
though you obviously help other jurisdictions to give that and put that in the right context so that people understand. Now, are you seeing in terms of the drug issues you see or mental health issues you're seeing, are you seeing a change with the pandemic compared to maybe last year?
A year and a half ago, we were seeing more heroin, fentanyl. We're still seeing fentanyl, but we had a resurgence in methamphetamine, which is a completely different animal than we're used to dealing with fentanyl and the opioids and synthetic opioids. So there has been a change in that respect, but sadly, even during this pandemic, addiction is still a major problem, really worldwide and nationally for us, but in Kenton County. So we're still dealing with that. And one important thing to note, I think, for folks, it's, a lot of businesses have had been able to shut down or go to half-day schedules and do some different things. In public safety, we don't have the options of being able to do that. People need us when they need us. There's no schedule for that. So our folks have still been out and about just as much and just as often as they were before the pandemic really took hold.
That's a great point. Well, and I know that you feel strongly about this, but your team there at Kent County and really across the county and the region, we've got some great police departments, really put their lives on the line every day, whether it be traffic stops or dealing with the drug trade, et cetera. And obviously it's a touchy subject, law enforcement. I happen to be a huge fan and always have been very respectful of police officers and what they're doing. But there's a mindset that we've got to maybe change some things. And I'd like you to talk about the things you've been working on for many, many years, both at City of Covington and at Kenton County, about community policing and how you really connect to your community in addition to the stereotypical ready to keep people safe and keep people, to basically arrest and that kind of thing. So talk to us about how these things have evolved over the past couple of years.
Well, there's a flaw, and community policing has always been very close to my heart from my time with the city, and especially and now having the opportunity to come out and work with the county. And the folks out here have completely embraced that idea. And I think probably one of the natural benefits of this police department and its location, they were already doing a great amount of community policing when I got here. It was very impressive. And I know we focused a couple of officers on some certain neighborhoods to develop some relationships, areas that we needed maybe just a little bit more. And it's worked out wonderfully for us. And really, like in business, as you well know, it's all about relationships.
Yep.
And I think when we have the opportunity to develop and build those relationships, it pays us back tenfold. It may be a question about a parking ticket today, or a question about where somebody can get their kid's bike inspected today, or something one of our officers goes out of the way to go and do for a neighbor. And the next day it might be information on a homicide. It pays us back tenfold. Fortunately, we haven't had the homicide to reach out to anybody for that information, but I know that our public supports us. So I've been really impressed. I got to be honest with you, Judge, from the time I arrived here, with the support that we receive from the public out here. It's amazing. And it's very refreshing.
Well, and I know that I remember doing a ride along years ago with Erlanger, and officer had pulled up, and there were some kids riding bikes and whatever. And it wasn't just riding by and waving, but he connected to the kids, and they were not real young, but they were adolescents, I guess. And so they knew him, and they trusted him, and they were keeping him informed. And I guess that's a small anecdotal connection to the kind of thing you do anyway, but maybe speak to the training also that you've now had some of your team go to.
We actually, and as you know, nationally, there is this conversation about justice reform and reform within police departments. And we began on a course well over a year ago, before this really came to the forefront nationally. We began sending folks to de-escalation training because we realize it's so important. I would much rather talk someone out of a fight or a conflict than actually engage in that conflict with them, or have that use of force that maybe we could not have used. So we started putting our entire staff through de-escalation training. And it's reinforced what we already knew was the right thing to do. That's in any occasion we have to use our social and emotional competencies to de-escalate a situation. That's far better than resorting to a use of force. We train with classically police officers. They train in driving, they train with their weapons, they train with all of these tools, but rarely have they had the opportunity to train with what's the most important, what they use the most, and that's those emotional connections that they make with the public they serve. We've been able to do that, and I think we kind of got out ahead of the curve in doing that some time ago. And I see that as being nothing but a benefit, and a force additive for us.
That's great. That's well said. And your team today, I can tell you, this court, I support you guys, and you've just done an outstanding job. And I think everybody has a mindset of let's get better every day. And that training. Is there anything else you'd like to maybe share with the community about as we sit here in 2020 that you think, hey, the community really needs to know about their police departments as they serve them every day?
Well, Judge, it's funny. I was having a conversation with our county attorney today about this very topic. And what we like to try to do, and what we've kind of committed ourselves to doing, is identifying solutions before we identify problems. And we know the county's growing. We see a lot of new neighborhoods popping up, a lot of subs coming in, and that's bringing more residents into the unincorporated areas of the county. And we're tickled to death to see folks come in here and live with us. But we also realize as population density increases, our calls to service increase. So we want to maybe look at some ordinances that might assist us in dealing with that population growth as it moves forward. And we're also looking at our department more so strategically. What happens while I'm here, we're ready for, but I want to ensure that 20, 25 years from now, 30 years from now, hopefully when I'm sitting on my front porch with my grandkids, that this area of the county is taken care of, that this county police department's effective, and that we've thought ahead and made things happen, the right things happen for our community.
Well said. Well, I appreciate your work and the work of your team. Please pass it on again, and appreciate the time today.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for the support.